We begin today's program with condolences to Bill Kristol on the loss of his favorite war. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ruthless.
Democrats are set to take control of the U.S. Senate, House, and the White House.
This will go down as one of the most progressive administrations in American history.
God willing, everything is on the table.
You now can pass things without a filibuster threat.
Oh, you'll regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
There we go.
That's how you started, man.
End of an era. End of the 20-year war.
It's crazy because that's of all the things. So of all the things, like Kristol has flip-flopped on from being, ostensibly a conservative to he completely hates the GOP, anything conservative. He's now just like, pro spending, tax and spend liberal, every Republican is awful. But the one thing he has remained consistent on is actually war is good. Like he tweets out, he's like, no, we shouldn't end this war. It's like, what the, like, what?
Lockstep support for the Biden agenda unless it involves curbing war.
Yeah. He was like, I support the Dems and Biden on everything, but war? Why would you stop war?
So for those of you unaware, President Joe Biden has announced that he'll be pulling out troops from Afghanistan by September 11th, ending America's longest war. And just for our younger listeners, to put the scale of the 20-year war in Afghanistan into perspective here, we've spent more on infrastructure in Afghanistan than Joe Biden has for bridges and roads in his so-called infrastructure bill.
Wow.
That's right. Since 2001, we've spent $133 billion reconstructing Afghanistan. Only $115 billion for roads and bridges in this infrastructure bill.
Boy, oh boy.
And when they said that date, it was just it was kind of shocking that we're already at the 20th anniversary of the attacks on September 11th. Holy cats.
I know. It's actually really apropos that Duncan gets to introduce this segment because he's super soft on terror.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Well, look, I'm just glad he's finally delivering on a promise. I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in 2012, Biden said, and I quote, "We are leaving in 2014, period."
Wow. Yeah. So good point. Yeah. Got there 7 years later.
Well, we need to fight him over there so we don't fight him here.
Okay. Forever.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, all of that being said, we've had a great week. We've had some good press clippings. We noticed that the Variety program was written up in The Guardian, which typically is not a friend to conservatives, but in this case, a very friendly report from my vantage point.
I mean, the thing is that Ruthless is undeniable. Everyone who listens enjoys. The numbers keep going up of our number of listeners. We are so grateful to the minions. And hey, what option do they have? There's only good things to say about this show. And the guest list has been incredible. We just had Burgess Owens, and
I was up on Capitol Hill the other day and speaking with a number of members of Congress, and to a person, they were big fans of Ruthless. It's sort of surreal, honestly, in some ways, when you're talking to a member of Congress who tells you that they listen to the Tuesday program on their way back from DC to their district, and they listen to the Thursday on the way back to DC. Like they do it religiously.
That's
on the plane.
Awesome.
I mean, it's
awesome.
Wow. I love it. Well, we'll do our very best to keep providing the content that you all deserve, because I don't know how we got here, but we're going to keep on churning.
We got a large crowd to entertain. And we also, specifically for this episode, we know we have lately been giving a lot of good info, a lot of important information. But, we were thinking maybe we've had a lot of Brussels sprouts and it's time for candy. So this episode's going to be a bit more focused on letting the people have their candy.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to start. Do you want to? Are we going to start with the Summer of Rage or the Roaring 20s?
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty hot debate that's going on right now is, thank God the vaccine is not just rolling out, but it seems like, it's widely available. Thank you, President Trump, and Operation. I always get it wrong. Was it Warp Speed or Light Speed?
Warp speed.
Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed got the job done. President Trump created the vaccines, and now they're getting in arms. Everyone here, anyone here gotten their shots?
Got a shot. I still am waiting on the second sucker, but I'm going to get that done here shortly, and I'm going to be a terror once I get that thing in my arm.
Oh yeah. I got number 1. Number 2, I heard, is the one that you like have sniffles or whatever afterwards, and I'm going to absolutely ham it up and act like I'm dying. But so, anyways, now that shots are getting in arms, the question is, what is this summer going to be? Is it going to be a summer of rage or the roaring 20s? Now that, everyone can finally get out of your homes. We have beaten the virus.
It's not all sunny optimism out there, though. I got to tell you, this week has been pretty grim.
Right? It hasn't been like a prelude to what is to come, because here's the thing. My theory, I'm team summer of rage. So
I'm
we have
not shocked.
Yeah, we have had over a year now of, in some form or another, lockdowns and social distancing. People have not been out in crowds, have not been in large numbers, like in bars and restaurants, in public. And the other thing is, for the past year, everyone's just been talking on the internet with people they agree with. So you go to a bar, anyone disagrees with you, what's going to happen? People don't know how to act anymore. We're going to have a summer of violence.
You're calling violence and fights.
Violence and fights. And beyond that, so I think, from a sociological perspective, people don't know how to act. They haven't been in crowds. Everyone's going to lose their minds. Beyond that, so White Claw has announced a new sub-brand called Surge. Apologies to AOC. It's a Surge, a very militant word.
Well, and apologies to Michael Duncan, too, because there's a militaristic context
right.
that went on to win the war in Iraq, and I know that's tough for him.
Okay.
Very anti-Surge. But so White Claw is releasing a new brand called Surge that steps up the alcohol. So typically, you're looking at 5% in a can of White Claw. This summer, they're releasing White Claw Surge at 8%.
Oh,
let's go.
Boy,
what was Four Loko? You know what? I need to search that. So I remember I was a Four Loko OG, and when that hit the streets, man, it was problems. It was problems.
What do we know about? Is Surge just an amped up ABV of?
It is
White Claw.
It's pretty close to double. It's basically twice as strong, which is incredible, man. God.
So I've got a buddy back in Minnesota. He calls these things sports drinks.
Great guy.
Right. And he's fan. I don't think he'd mind if I used his name. This guy, Hans, he was the best man at my wedding. And Hans drinks sports drinks all day long. He loves these things. He just kills them. But he gets to the point in the evening where he drinks the first quarter of them and he fills the top up with vodka.
There you go.
That's how you do it.
So that's the thing about White Claws is, that it's refreshing, and it's a good day drinking beverage. You're out there. It's a thirst quencher. I can see why he calls it a sports drink, but it's guilt free, right? It's like, I'm drinking this. It tastes like lime, refreshing, fantastic. Right. Yeah. But now you're going to go ahead and you're going to double that ABV.
But see, I think it's needed personally. So I've had a few of these, the seltzer drinks, and when I have them, I drop a couple shots, throw in a White Claw, or else it's just like you're sitting there and you're just drinking. Like I can have 40 or 50 of these in a night, and I'm just like, whatever, stone cold sober.
I feel like you're sort of telling on yourself. But there's a larger issue at hand. There's a nexus to Washington with and policy. It's actually coming up in the context of the infrastructure bill, which is bizarre. And I didn't even know this until you brought this issue with the White Claw up, and I'd heard it because I'd read some morning newsletters that cover influence in Washington and stuff like that. But apparently you can buy these seltzers and they're taxed at a relatively low rate from a federal perspective because they're taxed like beer. And beer has traditionally been a lower tax than distilled spirits because they have a lower ABV, right?
Taxed for the producer of the beverage, right?
Correct. The company making them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes, but it's all passed down into
Right.
the cost of your drink. It's actually priced into the drink. I'm pretty sure it's even itemized out in the drink. But anyway, the fact of the matter is there's now ready to drink drinks, right? So if you want like a Crown and Coke,
Yeah, that's the thing is like, so this summer, or I think it just hit the streets. It just hit the streets. I had friends who started texting me. You can now get Crown Royal, that infamous Canadian whiskey that comes in the purple bag, Crown Royal pre-mixed with Coke in a can, ready to roll. You crack it and it's ready to go.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like 5 times more expensive than one of these seltzers with the same amount of ABV.
Yeah,
right?
I was shocked when you told me this.
Yeah.
Like, so like drinks like, our listeners might be familiar with like High Noon, or like folks in Texas, those Ranch Riders. I love Ranch Rider. It's like a drink that like they put actual tequila in there.
Yeah.
And then they'll add like lime and seltzer and whatever, but it's actual liquor. That's the difference.
Yeah. So that's the problem, right? And so that's like the big battle in Washington. And it's a classic Washington situation where it's like all the intent of the difference in taxes is far lost years ago. And now it's basically you just pay 3 times more for the same product under a different name than you pay for the seltzer. Anyway, a big fight. I know that's a lot of under the hood for just like a drinking conversation, but I find that stuff fascinating.
That is interesting. So, and that's what's crazy. So like these drinks that have the actual liquor in them, like, your High Noon, your Ranch Riders, are the same percentage of alcohol as the seltzers, but they still get taxed like it's liquor, which is wild.
Yeah, and because it started as a tax on how you produce the alcohol, because the end event was always a higher ABV. It was just kind of assumed. But now that you have the same ABV in the same container, essentially, they're priced radically different because of the tax, and they're trying to figure out how to even that out. The beer guys, let me just tell you, the beer guys do not want to figure that out. They feel like they've got a 3-to-1 advantage over the hard liquor guys, and so it's a major fight. Anyway, it's like, if you're interested in that stuff, watch it, because
we need to figure it out, and that's because I'm on the opposite side here of Smug, and I'm pro Roaring 20s. Yes. I want you out there with your White Claws. I want you out there with your your rum and cokes and everything else, because I really believe coming out of this vaccine, if you are a Zoomer or a millennial in your 20s, maybe early 30s, get out there. Have a good time.
I feel awful, man, for like a lot of the younger folks.
Oh yeah,
like a whole year.
Right. Can't go out and socialize, can't go to a bar, can't hang out, in the nice weather and play cornhole or whatever. But in the Amish community, they have this concept, this thing called Rumspringa. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's basically a rite of passage in the Amish community in which
isn't it like a hall pass?
Yeah, it's a hall pass. They
Is
can
it really?
leave the Amish close society.
Okay.
They venture into the modern world and, smoke their first cigarette or go and get drunk or whatever. And I think, folks, we're going to be approaching a new Rumspringa. So I wish everyone the best of luck.
So I hit the Google. This is wild. So the new White Claw, the Surge, is dropping at 8% ABV. Your beers are what? Beer like a Bud Heavy is typically what, like 5%?
Yep.
Around 5%.
Domestics are 5. IPAs, you can go to all the way to 9.
So Four Loko, when it dropped, was 14%. Folks.
Hell yeah.
14% plus caffeine. Oh. That was fight fuel. No one drank Four Loko to have a good time. You're trying to cause problems.
Oh man,
I remember. I'm telling you, when it hit the streets, it was like, oh man, it was like 2008 or something like that. When it was problems. It was like when someone's at the bodega or something, grabbing a couple Four Locos, it's like, I don't want to see you later tonight, man. I know where you're going. Not a good place. 14%. That is wild.
Well, look, I'm notwithstanding the trouble that we've seen in Minnesota this week, the trouble that we've seen in social uprisings again across this country, which, by the way, I was promised that was only because Donald Trump was president.
Right. That's what we were told.
But notwithstanding any of that, I'm with Duncan. It's time for the Roaring 20s. Ruthless radio program is going to do its very best to participate in what is bound to be, in my view, the best summer of all time.
Absolutely. I highly encourage everyone, especially the youngsters who had a year robbed, go out, drink safely, have a good time. Thank God we're finally getting back to it.
Absolutely. So let's go to our next topic, which I got a kick out of. I know you guys got it. There was a ranking, a head-to-head matchups of all the states in the union where you could choose head-to-head which was a better state. And at the end, they aggregated it all and put from 1 to 51, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lib thing. They counted DC as a state.
They
Very
counted
lib move.
lib move. They counted DC as a state, and guess where DC came in?
Number 51, folks.
51.
It's reputable too. It's YouGov. You know, they did good work. Out of every state and non-state district, out of 51, DC 51. And I got to say that's right.
How in the world would you argue it? First of all, it's not a state, so it shouldn't be in the discussion.
Yeah.
But second of all, even if you were inclined to admit it as a state, which I am not.
Yeah.
But if you were inclined to admit it, Americans across the country loathe it.
and as they should. As they should. I mean, let me tell you, DC, there's nothing good about it. In the summer, it's humid. It's disgusting. There's nothing to do. There's no good restaurants. The only good restaurant, folks, is the Bojangles at the train station. Other than that, you're not getting good food in DC. Get on that train, go to New York, go anywhere else pretty much. You're getting better food.
I'm going to disagree with them on the food. I find there's a number of charming restaurants. I hope they're still open after what the mayor has done to DC.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with you, if you'd asked me this question in the winter of like February 2020, I'd be like, DC is sort of on the rise. Like there's some great restaurants. There's good stuff. COVID hits. Mayor Bowser locks the place down. There is one protest after another. I couldn't even get to my office for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Because it was just blocked off with protests day after day. And then I went back, several months ago, and it's nothing but boarded up sort of graffiti all downtown. Man, it's going to take a long time for DC to come back.
My favorite part of it, Holmes, was when the protests subsided and they start to tear down the wood planks from the windows, and I'm thinking, gosh, we can finally like get back into the office. No, then the roads are all shut down because Mayor Bowser wants everyone out there painting murals.
Yeah.
Still couldn't get in the office, couldn't get into our garage, nothing. And then in the dead of night, the DC City Council releases their new budget, and they want to like put in a bunch of new taxes for all these businesses that have been shut down so people can paint murals.
Unbelievable.
I hate, if you have a business in DC, move. It is a terrible place to have a business.
But I feel like that's the case for almost every urban epicenter. Like, what would you say to a Minneapolis business right now? Like, I'll be honest, I grew up there. Absolutely beautiful area, incredible people. The downtown has been revitalized for decades. It's like it was a very vibrant place with a ton of business and restaurants and sports and all kinds of stuff. And like over the last calendar year, it has been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Completely
Literally
destroyed. And it's continuing to be destroyed day after day. But here's the thing. This is the price of liberal governance. Let's not mistake this as like having nothing to do with each other. Like this is what happens when you have liberal governance that doesn't put value on rule of law, on business infrastructure, on the serious pillars of communities that can withstand difficult times.
And so that's the thing is like you look at the top of the list. So from 1 to 10, I'll tell you. Number 1, Hawaii. Number 2, Colorado. Number 3, Virginia. Number 4, Nevada. Number 5, North Carolina. Number 6, Florida. Number 7, Arizona. Number 8, New York. Number 9, Georgia. Number 10, Texas. I got to tell you off the bat, my theory, number 8 for New York to come in at number 8, I think it's people who've not been to New York because it doesn't belong. Number 8.
No, it's a
great place, but if we're talking about like where you want to be, I mean, come on, man.
There's 2 knee jerk, like you vote for it and you don't know why, is Hawaii and New York.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. So Hawaii comes in at number one. Sadly, it's actually one of the places I've never visited. I can offer no personal lived experience of that.
I think it might be the only state I've never been to. I've not been to Hawaii. I'd like to go, but I got to be honest, I'm a little skeptical of any place that sends us Maisie Hirono.
Yeah. And aren't the taxes are like sky high?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And New York is a toilet right now.
I would love to see a demo breakdown of who participated in this poll to see what the partisan makeup is.
Dude, that's a good point.
Because I look through, some of the bottom tier here: Alabama in at 50, Iowa 45,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
And these are great states. Like New Jersey's 48. New Jersey should be 50. New Jersey should be 50.
Kentucky 42. Kansas.
Oh, I see what you're
41.
doing, Duncan. I get what you're going for.
And I'm
here.
thinking a lot of libs who had their brains rotted from MSNBC, hitting the Act Blue button for a bunch of dead end Senate candidates are a little pissed those states reelected Republicans.
I see what you're
number
doing.
40 for number 40 for Idaho to be number 40 tells you this is 100% libs who have never been to Iowa. That is like one of the most beautiful states in this country.
Yeah. I'll be honest that now that I'm looking at the last tier that you've highlighted,
Isn't that wild? That's interesting. That's a good point, Duncan.
This is a lib thing. I love the correlation between losing their shirt on Senate races and ranking them poorly.
Nice.
Oh, well, if you ever look on Twitter on election night of all, these liberals poured their money into these states thinking that they were going to beat people like Mitch McConnell. And then the second that the state reelects the guy, you dumb hicks.
Oh, yeah.
And you vote for Mitch
It's so
McConnell.
true. It's so true.
Trash state, and it's like these people are the worst.
Worst.
They loathe places like Kentucky, and Iowa, and they hate us,
They do.
So
They
I
hate
also have a theory. So you got South Carolina at 29. I think that's a similar situation. They're mad they got beat in South Carolina, even though South Carolina, I mean, it's a wonderful state. It's a gorgeous state. Charleston is unreal. Wonderful place to visit. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. That they put South Carolina at 29. They put Texas at 10. They put North Carolina at 5. So my theory also is that this just proves the supremacy of Eastern Carolina barbecue. That vinegar-based pulled pork, far superior to number 10 Texas, far superior to that mustard-based pulled pork they got in South Carolina at 29.
Well, North Carolina is the one that sort of breaks my model, I guess. Thanks, Cal Cunningham.
It does, but I would like just the minions to weigh in, the minions from Texas and Missouri. I'd like them to have a rejoinder, if you will, to Smug's take with the vinegar-based.
I mean, I love the St. Louis ribs, but I tell you that Eastern Carolina vinegar-based pulled pork, I mean, that's my final meal. Anytime I can have it, you can't beat it.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next topic. This one is a New Sexico, we call it.
It's wild. I was stunned. This is about a sitting governor.
What's so unbelievable about this is that I didn't know. One of our pals flagged this for us. It's nowhere on the news. I didn't know this was happening, but apparently the Republican Governors Association pounced on Governor Michelle Lujan Grissom this week for revelations of a settlement that she had with a former campaign staffer who accused her, she's the governor of New Mexico, of, quote, grabbing his genitals.
Yeah. Shout out Jesse Hunt at the RGA. We see you. Good work out there. And of course, when Republicans point out, wait a minute, we just found out a sitting governor paid $62,500 to settle with a campaign staffer. That here's what happened. So she apparently poured water on a dude's crotch and then just grabbed it.
Well, that's what I love about this.
Who does that?
I love about this is that we got the Dem literally grabbing his genitals, but we, the Republicans, are the one.
That's the pouncing.
Yeah, we're pouncing.
Yeah. Pouring drinks and grabbing genitals is not the pouncing. The pouncing is calling them out on it.
Yeah, highlighting it. Yeah.
Amazing. Wait, should we just rewind back to the move? The move.
Who does that?
Is this a move?
Who does that?
I'd like to hear from some of the women in the Minion world. Do you know anyone who's ever done the pour the water on the crotch grab move?
It's a good old pour and grab. Like, how does that work? Who thinks this is a good idea?
The old pour and grab.
Like, I'm a very, I'm a germaphobe. I don't like, things like getting water poured on you. That's not a good experience.
Oh, wait. Let me hold on. There's more context in the article. I got to go. This guy is named Hallahan, and he first alluded to the alleged assault in 2019 in a Christmas Day tweet. But he told the New Mexican in an interview that Lujan Grissom had dumped water on his crotch and then touched his genitals. He described the incident as a, quote, slap and grab.
Oh my God, dude.
Haunted him daily.
I would be so shocked and offended. Who does that?
A slap and grab.
Bold move.
It's the wildest thing. And this is a sitting governor. The sitting Dem governor of New Mexico was like, you know what, folks, it's time to just like pour some water into the lap of my staffer and just grab his junk. Like, it's just like totally normal.
And the best part from my perspective, as a liberal Democrat, she can do the old slap and grab and then fear no consequence.
None. It's crazy.
I
mean, the thing is that like, so I was alerted to this when people were like DMing it to me because I didn't see the headlines. I didn't see that.
I have not seen any of this.
Like, do we have the New York Times? Do we have the Washington Post? Anyone calling for this governor's resignation? Imagine for a second, folks, Republican governor pouring water into the lap of a staffer and just grabbing their junk. Well, it's not surviving. They are within a week. Within a week, they're gone.
It also runs counter to like the Lib campaign where it's like, this is why we need to run all men out of politics.
That's true.
Right? It's like, well, what do you think about Lujan Grissom here?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we just have to run bad people out of politics. Maybe it's not a gender.
I mean, they're okay with Cuomo. So it's just like, all right, well, what do you know?
Right. When you're a Democrat, you can kill 30,000 elderly people. If you're Ralph Northam, you can wear blackface, or maybe it's the Klan robe. We never got an answer on that.
Never got an answer.
You can, molest several dozen women, allegedly. You can go to your beach house during quarantine, shut down the restaurants in your state, but you can go and with your donors to restaurants and eat out all night if you're in California.
And not just any. Newsom went to French Laundry.
Incredible.
That's like bucket list restaurant.
All that's great. And the funny thing is, at least people are talking about Cuomo. I had no idea that this lady existed.
Yeah. So I mean, when I had to double check, I was like, this can't be true. This like a sitting governor pouring water in someone's lap and just grabbing their junk, and it's just like, and the thing is that like paying the settlement. So it's not like they can release a statement saying that this is made up like Cuomo's tried. They're like, you know what, we paid the settlement.
Hats off to the guy, though. $62,000 for getting his junk grabbed by the governor of New Mexico. Well done, my friend. Well done. Even if you don't get any attention for it, I feel your pain. Anyway, let's move on. The next topic is one that we found endlessly hilarious. I wish we could do
truly
more of this, but it involves Jen Psaki talking about trying to get to communities that are vaccine shy, right? Duncan, is this the kind of the context of it? How do you get to people who are not taking this vaccine?
Right. And what they're basically saying is how do we get Republicans to take this vaccine? And my favorite thing about it is that, they basically treat all of us like we're some sort of science experiment that needs to be broken down into its parts and dissected and figured out here. The Daily Caller has the story where they're running vaccine PSAs. And of course, get your vaccine. Go ahead and get it.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, we said that at the top.
Right. They're sending vaccine PSAs on the deadliest catch, NASCAR and CMT.
Like, that's so funny. Psaki's like, okay, so here's how we targeted conservatives. We told them, we're going to run ads during Deadliest Catch. We're going to run ads on NASCAR. We're going to run ads on CMT.
I think we should play. I think we need to play the audio of this. I'm sorry. I think we got to play the audio.
We're also we've run PSAs on the deadliest catch. We're engaged with NASCAR and country music TV. We're looking for a range of creative ways to get directly connected to white conservative communities. We won't always be the best messengers, but we're still trying to meet people where they are, but also empower local organizations.
I love that. So we're trying to reach white conservative communities. So, we ran some ads on Deadly Catch,
NASCAR
and CMT.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine. So this is how it happened. I guarantee this is how it happened. So a bunch of low level garbage staffers at the White House are eating lunch and they're like, "Hey guys, so how do we get conservatives?" Like, I don't know. They all watch NASCAR. They all watch NASCAR.
I find it so funny, dude. Everything is like a foreign exchange project for these guys.
It is.
Like,
it is.
If you, oh my God, I think these people might believe in God.
It's like Discovery Channel. They're like the wild conservative.
Oh,
his habitat. He clearly just watches NASCAR all day.
Well, you can't get him on Sunday morning. I'll tell you that much. You're going to have to wait till the afternoon. I think these hicks sit around and watch cars go in a circle.
Yeah. They're like, we tried shutting down the churches so that they could be home to watch NASCAR and CMT. We'll see how that approach works.
These white people love fishing.
Yeah. I mean, I should have lost her job if someone had asked her point blank. So how do you reach other communities which have not hit vaccine percentage targets? She'd have lost her job, man. I want to hear how she reaches those.
If you invert that question.
Yeah.
You invert that question and ask to other, because look, the reality is that conservative Republicans have had some vaccine reluctance. And so that is actually a legit question. But other communities, African-American communities, have too. If you ask that question specifically.
That would have been wild. I would have loved that answer. I'd pay top dollar. Jen Psaki, how do you reach out to the Black community? I want to hear Jen Psaki's ideas on that. She'd be gone, dude.
In this
She'd
culture,
be gone.
In Democratic politics, she would have had to pack her desk that afternoon.
Yeah, gone, dude. I mean, what's funny is here's the thing: is if the idea was, if you want to get a PSA out, how would you reach out to liberals, to liberal communities?
Oh, no, number one. I'd have President Bartlett from the West Wing cut a PSA.
Oh my God.
All those liberals and the journos pissing their pants.
Oh God.
Yeah, we'd be at herd immunity tomorrow.
I would be disgusted because every journo would retweet that
retweet.
I love President Bartlett. I love West Wing.
That's my president.
Oh man.
I think there would have to be some kind of a poetry reading or with if you could go to a venue that had a poetry reading, it would have to be a diverse poetry reading, though. It would have to be set by some sort of segmented, oppressed minority group that you could also have soccer playing on a small TV in the background. If you could get that together, that would be like a magnet for white progressive lips. That I think you could get all of them vaccinated in a small amount of time.
A Prius drive up showing of Hamilton.
Wow. That would, what? That's probably the smartest thing is if you just had someone handing out flyers outside of Hamilton when it reopens, you're hitting every lib. Done. I mean, it's just hilarious. They're like, okay, the best we could come up with, folks, we're gonna have NASCAR.
Deadliest catch.
Deadliest catch. Honest question. So has anyone here seen Deadliest Catch?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So maybe they're onto something.
Yeah. I've watched it, but I can't say it's something that you just sort of religiously watch. It's just
background noise. It's a background noise show.
Let's be honest. They should advertise on Tucker, man. If you want a conservative audience, advertise on Tucker.
But they can't give up. They can't do it.
They can't do it. They can't.
Oh no.
Wouldn't that be so great? Wouldn't that be so great? They have all these, progressive activist organizations trying to boycott Tucker, and then the government becomes his largest sponsor.
That would be awesome.
So good.
Well, what I think honestly is if they wanted to reach red states, get Anheuser-Busch and Jack Daniels to vaccinate red states. You got Kentucky covered,
They get it done.
You go straight to the source. These are folks that know how to get their product into the hands of good red-blooded Americans. Anheuser-Busch, they'd do it. They'd get it done, dude.
I feel like
I'm a fan of butt heavies. You crack one open and you get vaccinated. I'm there for that.
Well, we haven't talked about this, but what would you do? Because this is the way that libs work. Once they get their hands on government, they actually process these huge advertising budgets through lib firms.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have like all their political firms actually do the advertising and make millions of dollars off of it, which is fascinating. And it never gets called, but this always happens. Anyway, what would you do if one of them called you tomorrow to say like, hey, we have $1 million ad campaign that we'd like to run on Ruthless.
Yeah.
Vaccinating people. Like, I don't know what I'd say to them.
I'd say number one. All right. So write the check to cash.
I'd also say 100% all three of us are doing the voiceover and I'm not sure what's going to come out.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're going to ostensibly tell people to get vaccinated, but like, it's going to be a lot different than you want it to be.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to spend the first 10 minutes railing on Dr. Fauci.
How does he still have a job?
It's absolutely incredible. This guy's he's going to double mask forever. It's insane.
He's honestly, so my theory on Fauci, he is the sharpest operator in DC, period. He plays everybody. He's played everybody like a fiddle. He survives the book deal. I bet he gets a bigger book deal advance than like President Obama. I guarantee it, dude.
Without a doubt. But it's a huge messaging miss that now, we're distributing these vaccines. We're getting people, we're getting closer to herd immunity. And he's still talking, it's April
he's like,
of 2020.
After you get the vaccine, folks, you still gotta social distance.
Right.
We're like the clinical trials, if we're listening to the scientists, have shown post-vaccination, like there was that original theory, can you still have like a viral load in your nose? And there has been no study that has shown that you can post-vaccination, which would eliminate the need for masks.
It's all nonsense.
According to the scientists.
It's all nonsense. But if you've noticed, Fauci himself has shifted his own role, right? So at the beginning of this pandemic, he was leading the response. That was his job. Here's Dr. Fauci, a renowned scientist from the National Institutes of Health. He's leading the government response and everybody listened to him and he, did his thing. And now if you watch him, like what's happened over a calendar year is he is basically a color commentator for the medical community.
It's wild.
It's like he's basically like the Phil Sims of color commentators for the medical community. He's the shittiest analyst that they possibly have on it. They're like, well, this doctor says this. What do you say, Dr. Fauci? He's like, well, speaking as a medical professional, I can tell you. And then he says everything that's nonsense.
Yeah. It's gotten really wild lately because like all the clinical trials, all the like actual scientific data that's getting put out by like the Lancet, all these, very highly respected medical journals are like contradicting what he's saying in terms of the efficacy of the vaccines. Like folks, I highly recommend everyone get vaccinated. Me personally, I'm Pfizer gang. Who'd you get? Who'd you get, Holmes?
I got Moderna.
Duncan, you get J&J?
J&J.
Let's go. So we have it covered. We have it covered.
Right. Six cases of blood clots, and now the whole thing's on pause.
Which is wild.
Absurd. And you want to know why people have vaccine hesitancy? It's because of dumb shit like that.
It's such a mixed bag, the messaging that they've put out, where it's like 1 in a million. You literally have a better chance of like hitting a huge score in Vegas.
Well, it's lib governance. I mean, the fact of the matter is that if you talk to women who take birth control, almost every birth control option out there has a higher percentage risk of blood clots with that product than J&J does with this vaccine. And yet they pulled it off the market in the midst of all this.
Well, I just got it. I'm not completely out of the woods. So.
Well, here's the other thing. So like the data that I looked at, so of the 6 cases, all 6 were women. And they had not, there's no data available whether they were on one of these birth controls that also had that as a side effect. So you have no idea. No idea. Like less than 1 in a million. And they just blew it. They
When you're,
blew
I
it.
mean, when you're shutting down vaccines and you're saying you're still going to have to wear a mask indoors after you've been vaccinated, you want to know why people are vaccine hesitant? That's why.
That's
Yeah,
it.
bingo. That's why.
That's it. All right. Well, fellas, we got to get to King of the Hill. We're good. We had the ultimate candy. It's
Let's
been
go.
off
The
for
folks-
6 weeks. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
People demanded it.
The people have been crying out. We had our Hack Madness. We had the tournament. It was wonderful, but we're going right back to our roots. Ladies and gentlemen, this is King of the Hill.
And looks like our fighters are in place. Let's go down ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Welcome back to King of the Hill. It's time for our main event. In the red corner, fighting out of the Washington Post and wearing her Hack Madness crown, Jennifer Brainworms Rubin. And now, in the blue corner, fighting out of a cruise ship in the Persian Gulf, standing 5 feet 4 inches tall, Bill a Wartime Crystal.
Oh, what a treat.
I miss this so much.
It feels so good to be back in
It's
the
great to be back.
It's
Great to be back.
And I'll just say, look, Bill Crystal has been a reigning champ for 6 weeks. Sure, he hasn't been tested, but it's still a 6-week run. And he feels good, rested, ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
But Jen Rubin just won the Hack Madness tournament.
Yeah.
So clearly she's got the takes that can deliver. One thing I just for a programming note here for everyone, we've got a lot of new listeners. So I wanted to lay out the ground rules here for the game. And that is Holmes has his champion, Bill Crystal, who is the reigning champion of King of the Hill. And Smug has Jen Rubin. And basically what we do is that Holmes and Smug curate 3 tweets from their champions, and then they read them to me.
Over a calendar week, there's a time.
Over a calendar week, 1 tweet up against 1 tweet, and I select the winner as judge and jury of all 3 rounds. And the winner is King of the Hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I love this game so much.
Best game. It's been
so much.
Oh, all right.
Well,
So, but
let's get right into it.
Does the challenger start?
No, champion goes first.
Champion first. Okay.
First twice. First in the first round and the third round.
Bill Crystal. April 12th. Republicans seem far more alarmed about too many adults voting than about too many school children getting shot.
Fuck.
You can't
Who says that?
You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
That's insane.
I mean, that is
What?
A+ material.
Okay, yeah. So this is the benefit of the champ going first. This is a good one. So you had Kyle Griffin. Everyone on Twitter knows Kyle Griffin. He posted the official White House portraits for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, and it's their photos. And Jen Rubin quote retweets, "Sigh, so nice, so normal, so historic." And the photo of Biden, if you have not seen the official photo, I mean, he looks like the crypt keeper. Let's be serious. Historic, first crypt keeper in the White House.
Nobody thought they could do it, but Weekend Bernie's got to 1,600. Historic.
These are both really good.
They are.
Do you guys want to do any politicking for your tweets before I do my analysis?
Let me just say, I think that Smugs has got a very great tweet there. No question about it. My sense of this Bill Crystal is it is so unbelievably over the top and worm-brained that it, like, in the history of the competition of King of the Hill, I can't. I'm having a tough time finding one worse.
Yeah. So my politicking is for our newer listeners, because our numbers keep going up. But for our newer listeners who didn't know Jen Rubin before she completely lost her mind, she used to ostensibly be a conservative, and to this day remains the quote conservative, opinion writer for the Washington Post. So for her, she like, which is absolutely insane that this person is considered the conservative viewpoint, tweeting out a picture of Joe Biden and Kamala. But the commentary on it of like, sigh, so nice, so normal, so historic. For Biden, the guy can't climb stairs. Is that maybe, that could be historic. First president. I think FDR could probably do stairs better than Biden, right? So historic.
Let me just say, more alarmed about adults voting than school children getting shot.
So I the judge in Jarrett has rendered the verdict. Bill Kristol, as we learned here at the top of the program, has no problem after 20 years that America's kids go over to Afghanistan and keep getting shot. But he wants to use kids dying in schools to make a political point about the Georgia election bill.
Oh,
I think the man is entirely morally bankrupt. One of the worst people in the history of politics in this country. And for that reason, he wins round one.
Oh, man.
I mean, damn. Listen, here's what I'll say. When Duncan broke it down like that, man, it hits different.
That hits different. Yeah.
That's what I do.
All right. I mean, that verdict is legit. Damn.
All right. So challenger, we round two. Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. Here we go. So on April 13th, Jennifer Jacobs, senior White House reporter for Bloomberg, tweets out reaction to Biden increasing troops in Germany when Trump wanted to decrease the number there from Trump's U.S. ambassador to Germany. And she retweeted, Rick Grinnell. Jan Rubin's reply to that, just like out of nowhere. The right is now a bunch of isolationist pro-Russian bots. Every single person to the right of Biden, absolute bot. 100%. The thing is that, like, there are no actual people against Biden. It's just 100% Russian bots.
Russian bots.
Top to bottom, Russian bots.
Very strong. Very strong.
Yeah. After that, the first round, you got that. So I'm going straight to brainworms. There's nothing more brainworms than, like, everyone who disagrees with me, 100% bot.
Wait, so what was the context again? This was a quote tweet?
Right. Yeah. So it was a quote retweet. Jennifer Jacobs retweets Rick Grinnell. And Jennifer Jacobs says, reaction to Biden increasing troops in Germany when Trump wanted to decrease the number there from Trump's U.S. ambassador to Germany. So in that context, out of nowhere, from the top rope, you got Jen Rubin. The right is now a bunch of isolationist pro-Russian bots. The GOP is just like Russian bots. I thought everyone knew this.
I mean, it's pretty strong.
That's the real brainworms right there.
Okay, so here's the rejoinder. Here's Bill Kristol. This is from April 14th. By the way, it's Republicans, not Democrats, who are seeking to alter the current electorate. Republicans are trying to restrict voting and who are defending gerrymandering. Democrats want to let the people vote and are willing to give up gerrymandering in the states they control.
Oh man, Rubin's got that.
So wait, but the backdrop is beautiful to this because he's talking basically about H.R. 1, which is entirely a bill attempting to give Democrats 100% control of gerrymandering, of the topic. That's like what they're trying to, it's the exact opposite of what he is attempting
You
to
can't
talk.
beat Jenny from the block on that. That was pure brainworms. They were like leaking out of her nose. I think it was the brainworms tweeting that out. Every Republican is a Russian bot. Jenny from the block.
What's so funny, I have rendered my decision on this. What's so funny is that if Trump was still in the White House and was pulling out of Afghanistan right now, she would send the exact same tweet.
That is amazing.
And for that reason, she's won round 2.
Let's go.
That's good.
We're
That's
going
good.
to the sudden death round 3.
I'll take it. Okay. I'm gonna close this thing out. This is good too.
Yeah, I got fire for 3. I'm ready.
Knowing, and this is just like the context of everything, Bill Kristol and everything. It's just so good. Want a transformative presidency? Get large and small businesses on board. Forge a voting rights bill that businesses will support. Stick with a tax hike for the wealthy, but sub a carbon tax with rebates for lower income for the corporate tax hike. Dude, this is fucking amazing. Let me just
I can't
walk,
believe this guy used to be considered a conservative. It breaks my heart.
let me just walk through it. Cutting through all the language and what he wants his businesses to draft a voting rights bill.
That's step
Right.
1.
Which they
Okay,
know.
that's wild. This is just a very dumb, very dumb thing to say.
He wants to stick with the tax hikes for the wealthy. This is the conservative guy. Tax hikes for the wealthy. Right? That's by the way, only Democrat speak. Like that's not at all what anybody's talking about here. Stick with the tax hike, but do cap and trade instead of corporate tax hikes. I mean, it's like the worst fucking politics I've ever heard in my entire life. How you can screw poor people in one tweet.
I think I got it though. I think I got it. Jenny from the block coming in hot. April 8th at 8:46 p.m. Because Jenny keeps going, dude. Sundown, she's still rolling. 8:46 p.m. April 8th. Jennifer Rubin. I know a lot of progressives are saying Biden's agenda could not be predicted. Quote, no one thought Biden would be this bold. Didn't they listen to the campaign? He's doing exactly what he said. I can't say anything has truly surprised me. That is absolutely wild. Like you look at Mayorkas being like, yeah, you know what? Trump was right about the wall. We're gonna keep building that wall. He's got every like it wasn't enough that the child prisons are full. They're like 1,000% capacity. This dude is putting them in stadiums.
No surprise.
No surprise. He's doing exactly what he said. I can't say anything that's truly surprised me. Imagine what it would take to surprise Jen Rubin at this point.
COVID relief that's passed with 98 senators twice in the Senate, done entirely on a partisan basis. The post-partisan president, not a surprise.
Yeah, not surprised.
He's done it with 0 Republican support. Yeah, no, entirely partisan.
That's the wildest thing. That's the wildest.
Pretty good. I think the judge has got a tough hand here because that is a wild take, but so is cap and trade, getting rid of corporate tax hikes and forging a voting rights bill from corporations.
It's first of all, I got to say, both of these final tweets. I mean, did they write them on Substack? They're so long.
Yeah, right. They were,
and they are both insane. But Bill Kristol's reads like a white paper written on peyote. Mm-hmm. It's insane. And for that reason, he is the winner and still champ.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The reign continues.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So for new listeners, once someone has lost King of the Hill, they're like, what, in the freezer for a week?
Yeah.
I'll find a new champion. Jen Rubin, I love your brainworm takes. I think you deserved the crown, not just, for the hack bracket, but man, that was a take. Jen Rubin was robbed. Jay from the block will be back.
I'm going to get like 10 DMs tomorrow from people being like, you robbed Smug.
Totally.
Bring it on. Bring it on, guys.
It was a very fair decision. I felt like it was a very justified win. And
Yeah.
Crystal, I had to whittle down to 3. He had 4 or 5 more that were in the mix.
Here's the thing: is I'm in defeat. I'll be gracious. I think our Judge Duncan definitely put some prudent thought into that, especially that first tweet. That should hit different.
He issued
outstanding work. I'll be back, folks. King of Hill lives on.
An illuminating decision.
I do my best.
Yeah.
Do my best.
Yeah.
But you know what, folks? I hope everyone has enjoyed the all candy episode. This was a good one. Me personally, I enjoyed recording it.
I had fun.
I hope everyone enjoyed listening.
We got another big week next week. Great guests, all kinds of fun. I can't wait for it.
Outstanding work, gentlemen. We got another banger in the can. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Tuesday. Stay ruthless.